Okay, happy Sunday, week 8, everyone. Starting off with a photo of my niece and her little friend, her 7-year-old friend, and their um, experience with Darth Vader last week. Um, she came down with me while I was at the CISC Leadership Symposium all week long. And this is one of the photos she sent to me. So I don't know, it feels a little bit like we've been on the dark side lately. Um, and we're just about to see some light, I think. So I'm going to jump right in with what is expected for week 8. Here is the week 8 Blackboard posts for February 28th through March 3rd, or 27th through March 3rd. You can see that you have just a few things this week: to read chapter 7, to complete assignment 8, and to do a discussion board post on the next steps, what you're going to do as you move into 605. Okay, so again, here's the information on the reading. Here's the link to the discussion board, and here's the link to assignment 8. So let's take a look at the discussion board first. It's actually pretty brief this week. It will help if you have read chapters 6 and 7 in the Hendricks book. That will give you a frame for thinking about what is coming next in 605. So here's the prompt. As you move into your next phase of research, 605, what are your next steps, considering your research roles, to prepare for implementation of your study? Post no later than Wednesday midnight your initial response, and make sure that you respond to at least 2 of your colleagues. Make sure that you provide, insightful and detailed feedback. This week, everything is due by Friday because I have to post grades on Saturday. Okay, so make sure that this is done by Friday this week. Okay, so we'll move back. I'm going to actually skip to my week 8 document for you after I've done the tour in Blackboard. Another reminder that assignment 8 is due on Friday this week, which is March 3rd. Okay, because many of you, at this point, all of you, are still making revisions to your IRB applications. It would be helpful for those groups, particularly those that received quite a bit of feedback. You should probably take a look at that IRB video again. Some folks are missing, just even the most basic parts of the application, like marking the appropriate check boxes, putting in the address of the location of their study, um, listing the names of the researchers and their phone numbers and email addresses. These are all kind of very, very basic things in the application. There's also content missing in many applications relative to the methodology. And it's really important that you step by step describe. It isn't a whole chapter 3, but you do have to summarize your methodology in a way that someone who isn't me will understand. I've been with you through this journey so far, so I have an idea of what your methodology means. If you hand it off to your husband or your wife or your teaching colleague and they read it and don't have any clue what it is that your steps of your study are, that they don't really understand from your IRB application what it is you're trying to accomplish, then you can be pretty certain the IRB is going to send it back because they haven't been on this journey with you like I have. You have to be clear. You have to proofread. You must have all the steps, right? If you mark a box that says you have EL students in your class, then you have to talk about how you're going to get consent from their parents. If they're EL students, then probably the English consent form isn't going to work. And so the IRB committee is going to hand it back unless you explain how you're going to ensure that parents are giving informed consent. Okay. Are they getting the consent form explained to them by somebody who speaks the same language they do, the same primary language? Will you have the consent form translated into a language they understand? You have to explain that in the IRB application or it'll be sent back. Okay. Also, another common thing I've seen in almost all of the applications, they are written in future tense. You haven't done the study yet. I know the capstone, we said to save time, go ahead and write that in the past tense. That was to save time for you. But the IRB isn't trying to save time for you. You have to write in future tense. Okay. What other kinds of things can I tell you? Well, refer to your feedback and recall that, if you will, that I can't send them in until I think they are the very best draft that you have. And even then, there is a good possibility that the IRB will send it back because, as I said, I know what you're trying to accomplish. I've been on the journey with you. But if you aren't clear for them, or you leave something out, or you don't mark a box or something like that, they will get turned back, and that will push back when you can actually start the implementation of your intervention. Okay. So you can't start your intervention. You can't start working with the kids. You can't hand out consent forms. You can't do any of that till you get an approval from the IRB committee. And I'd like to be able to send off IRB applications today, which is Sunday, or tomorrow on Monday. So pay really careful attention to the feedback. Go back and look at those resources from the IRB folder, particularly the one that says IRB application guidance. I can tell that 3 or 4 of the groups actually looked at this very carefully, but I also can tell 2 or 3 of the groups didn't look at it at all. And if you remember, I went over this with you 2 or 3 times, and everything that's in red is what I have to look for and be sure you have in your document in order to approve it and send it on. And as I said, 3 or 4 groups have done a really good job at looking at this, but there are 2 or 3 that obviously haven't read it at all. Okay, so please make sure. If I think you're a group that didn't look this over at all, I actually put the link to this document in your feedback. Okay, so please, please, please go back and read it. This is something that has turned up on almost every team's, every group's IRB. Do you see right here, it says, please list. That means there should be a list under here of what you have attached to your IRB. Things like the site authorization form, a student handout, a student survey, a teacher survey, sample interview questions, There should be a list under here of the things that you've mentioned in your IRB application that you have to have ready with this application for the IRB council, the committee to look at. So when this says please list, it means please list them. So if you've up in the top of your application, if in the body of the application you said you're going to use a survey, then the survey better be here. If you have a signed site authorization form, then you need to list signed site authorization form. If you have a handout for students to read regarding your intervention, then you better put it here, okay? That's what this is for, and you mark the box. Now, this is a checklist right here. So you are supposed to have this as part of your IRB application. Once you clip and copy and paste the NIH certificates into your application, you check this box. Once you have done this checklist, then you click this box. Once you have put your list down here of the items that you are including in your IRB, that you've mentioned in your IRB application, you've created the list and you've cut and pasted copies or images of them at the end of your application, then you check this, okay? I had quite a few people, and this is interesting to me because I've actually spoken a number of times about this. You have to have your signature on here. So you can't just type in your name. And what this means is one of you is going to have to sign the document, print your name there, put the date. Then you're going to have to scan it. You can either scan it using a copy machine at your place of work or at home if you have a printer scanner, or you can upload or rather download a scanning app on your phone. As I've mentioned before, I use the app Handy Scanner, but there are a lot of different ones. Then you take a picture of the whole form with your signature on it, and the Handy Scanner will change it to a PDF and allow you to email it to your partner. Okay, so your research partner would then print it, sign it, date it, okay, and then do the same thing, scan it, and send it to themselves as back to the principal investigator, whoever's being responsible for pulling the IRB application together. Send it to whichever one of you is doing that, and it'll come as a PDF attachment. And then you will go up into Edit, the Edit tab. When you open the PDF attachment, you'll see the Edit tab up here. And when you click on it, one of the things that will drop down is Take a Snapshot. When you take a snapshot, you're going to get crosshairs very similar to these, right? And what you do is you just click on the whole document and let up, and it takes the picture, which you can then right click or copy and paste into your document. If you can't see the whole form, right, then you need to go into View. In PDF, you go into View and adjust the zoom on it so that it's 50% or 20% or whatever, so that you can see the whole document. And when you get it to the right fit, okay, so right here I'm going to put 30%. Let's see. So when you get it to the right fit, then you go back and take your snapshot, because you can line up the crosshairs across the whole thing. So you do this for your signature page. You do this also for your site administrator page. You do it for your, you can use a snipping tool like the one I have here to open up the image of your NIH certificate, and you can click on it and again use the crosshairs, drag it across what you want, and then let go, and it'll take the picture. It'll allow you to copy and paste it wherever you want. The only difference in a PDF is that to get to this tool, you have to go to Edit in Adobe Reader. You have to go to Edit and go down right about in here. You'll see Take a Snapshot. As soon as you click on Take a Snapshot, the crosshairs will show up. Select the area you want, and then go to your Word document and paste it in, okay? These are things that you should be pretty proficient at right now, including proofreading, okay? Okie doke. So we're going to go back to the week 8 document here. I just left this link in here to the other IRB resources in case you need them. The samples of the consent forms are in here in English and in Spanish, and also the site authorization form. These things are here so you don't have to cut and paste them out of the IRB application. You can just get the single document that has these on them, so you don't have to cut and paste it. And you can just print the consent forms directly from here. And then, as I said, scan them. They'll convert to PDF when you scan them, and then you can take a snapshot and drop it in at the end of your IRB document. Okay, so that was a little bit more time on IRBs than I intended to spend. I did get all of them scored. It took me till 2 in the morning to do that. But they are all done, and everybody also has all of their chapter 1s and 2s read. Okay, so this is a good time for us to talk about assignment 8. So you do have an assignment due on Friday, and I'm very, very well aware that many of you have a lot of work to do still on your IRB application, and that does take precedence over everything else, because we need to get those in a best final draft form in the next day or two so they can be sent out, so they can be scored. And you can find out if you can move forward with your study or not. Things are going to go very fast in 605, just like they did in this course, and you need to have your permission to get started no later than the end of the first week. So what is due on Friday is your revised and formatted proposal. And proposal is, shorthand for your title page, chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, your reference page, and any appendices. So what would be in the appendices? Well, if you have written in your methodology chapter that you have surveys or handouts or interview questions, those are the things. Your site administrator's signature page, those things all go in the appendices. And there is an appropriate APA formatted way to add things to the appendices, okay? So you're going to need to identify a master copy for your proposal. You're going to take all the revisions that I have been sending you along the way, and you're going to get a best draft proposal going. Right now, the reason I say best draft, and I talked about this with many of your groups on Friday and Saturday night. The reason I'm not calling it a final proposal, I'm calling it a best draft. This, the directions say final proposal. But what it basically is your best draft of all of these elements by Friday. That means the revisions that I've suggested. That means any new sources that you might have for your lit review. It means, as I said, the documents in the appendices. Now, if you have been using the template all along, and 3 or 4 of the groups have been, and you have just been adding your chapters to a master template document all along, then all you need to do is go make sure your revisions are completed, right? Because you already have everything in one document. However, if you've been turning in, a series of documents to me on Blackboard and you haven't merged them into a single file yet, you're going to have to do that. And so what I'm going to be looking for on Friday is that you have uploaded to Blackboard your best draft of these items to date. Okay. I'm looking for your best draft of these items in a single document that started with the template so that it's already mostly APA formatted. Okay. And it's 20 points if your group gets that posted by Friday, right? It doesn't mean that there won't be any changes to this document in 605. You are most definitely going to be adding, maybe deleting, maybe revising. It's still a work in progress, okay? And so that's why I'm saying this is your best draft of a final proposal for your capstone project. As I mentioned before, if you were going to be doing a dissertation, not only would you fill out the IRB application, but you would have to submit your title page, your chapter 1, your chapter 2, your chapter 3, your references, and your appendices with your IRB document. Okay, and that would be considered your proposal to do your research. In this course, you're going for an exempt, so you only need to provide a summary description of your final proposal. Okay, and that summary description is on the IRB application. This really shouldn't, as I've said, if you have been keeping up and putting everything on a single template, master template to begin with, and you've been keeping up with the revisions that I've been sending you, then really the only thing that you are waiting for me on is your chapter 3s. And some of you already have your chapter 3s. 2 groups already have all of this stuff back from me. So I have 4 chapter 3s to score, and I hope to get them all done by midnight on Sunday. Okay. Okay, if you're concerned about what this should look like, remember in the in our folder, in our 580 folder, I have put in there for you a sample capstone. And let me see if I can find it. It's ethical release rubric. So let me see, maybe it's in the weekly capstone. Well, I'll put a link to it. I know it's in here. It is the one on heart monitors. And so if you're having questions about what goes in an appendices, what goes in the references, what should the spacing look like? I've given you this APA resource here, okay? But you also have a sample. And so go back and take a look at that sample and make sure that if you're concerned about what it should look like, that you take a look at that heart monitor sample. Okay, I'll find it and add it to the week 8 document before I post it today. Okay, so upload a well-formatted APA compliant single Word document that's built upon the capstone template. Be sure that your single document includes your latest best draft for the following elements: title page, chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, references and appendices. At this point, that will include consent forms, surveys, assessments, handouts, interview questions. Because we have a short week this week and a lot to do, there's going to be no hangout on Thursday this week. However, if you do need me, just contact me and I'll set something up with you, okay? This number 3 is just more information about being very careful about getting your IRB application in final form, to look at the resources. And just a little thing to keep in mind that the IRB reads and approves the applications in the order that they are sent. So, the longer it takes for us to get a final draft for each group, the longer it'll take for you to get permission to move forward. So, and you should be prepared for the IRB to come back and say, we have a question about this. You need to tinker with that. We need some clarity on this. How are you going to get the consent forms to the parents, that kind of thing? It's not unusual for the IRB to ask for some additional information. So let's really work on getting the best draft possible to them the first time we send it, okay? Okay, Chapter 7, discussion board. Get your IRB and final draft. No hangout on Thursday. Get all of the pieces. We've done all of these pieces. Now get them all put together and posted to Blackboard for credit this week, okay? The capstone rubrics are still here in case you need to go back and look at them. Okay, and give me a call, text me, email me if you need to talk or you need clarification. All right, and as I said, I'll find. I'm not sure where I put that sample of the heart monitor capstone, but I'll find it and put a link to it on the week 8 guidance document. Okay. All right. We are 5 days from the end of 580 and everybody is going to make it with flying colors. So I will be posting, I'll be making available probably by Friday or Saturday this week. I'll be making available the 605 course on Blackboard. But until then, as I pointed out with all the groups, there is now a 605 folder that you've been invited to, and it has a syllabus and a timeline. So if you're in a place where you need to preview what's coming up beginning next week, you can do that and prepare yourself for it. And know that by Friday, I will have the course available. I'll have proofread it and made sure that it has as few inconsistencies as possible and make it available to you, by Friday night. Okay. All right. Have a great week and let me know if you need anything.